All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and it's 3:16, so we need to get rolling. I'm Mike Christian. I'm CEO of From the Future, and I have my good friend and client, Encore Amin, who's innovation leader at DPR. They're a top 10 construction company in the United States, so it's been a real pleasure working with them. And if you don't mind, Encore, unmuting your mic and then telling us a little bit about what an innovation leader does in a commercial construction company.
Thanks for the intro, Mike. Yeah, I think it has evolved. It's sort of now managing the incoming, and I feel like it was initially going out finding new ways to improve, our operations out there in the field. Construction goes back to the beginnings of civilization, and we have a ways to go in terms of getting to where we think we need to be with respect to efficiency, safety, productivity, etc. Today's life as an innovation leader is about managing all the great things that folks are doing out there, prioritizing them, bringing them in so we can go out and give them a good kick of the tires, and then going out and developing solutions where we don't see a solution today. And so I spend a lot of my time in the field working with folks who are doing the good work every day, building the world and trying to find ways to solve their problems.
Awesome. Yeah, a little over a year ago, we met some folks in the Fort Worth office. DPR has offices all over the nation, and probably in some other countries, I'm guessing. Encore's in Austin. And anyway, we started talking to them about doing some training because it seemed like there was a lot of opportunities in commercial construction. It's very big, for lack of a better word. There's so much going on. So there's, as a result of the complexity of that level of construction, what we call a high level of construction, there's a lot of issues with having, just doing the job. And I've listed a few of them here. You guys can see in the slides. But Encore, what would you say are some of the biggest issues that you face when talking to some of your trainers and some of the people in the company when it comes to training people for the job?
Yeah, I think part of it has to do with taking in folks who may not have worked with us before, making sure they're ready to go as we sort of just throw them in there, right? When they show up at a job site, we may never have seen them before. So part of it is just ensuring they're well equipped, to go do the work safely, and with the competency that we expect. And so part of it is just validation. And the other part is, okay, we're bringing in people all the time and training them on tools, on equipment, in concepts that they may not have, experienced before or be familiar with. So part of it is sort of the upskilling of the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely been a trend. If you've been around AEC the last 20 years or so, you'll see there's been a bit of a shortage in terms of skilled labor. Folks would rather drive for Uber, frankly, than come work at a job site. So, we're trying to keep up the skills of folks working on our job sites, and the training challenge is just to sort of deliver a high quality experience that folks can then take with them immediately to the work that they're expected to accomplish.
Are these people that might choose Uber as an alternative? Does it typically, are we talking about younger folks?
We're typically talking about younger folks. In some cases, we're talking about folks who maybe have a different first language than English, folks that may be coming from other sectors, like say residential construction, when maybe that takes a bit of a hiatus or a downturn, that may not be as familiar with commercial or industrial sectors of construction. So it can be from all age groups, all backgrounds, cultures, etc.
Yeah, it's really interesting, some of the issues you guys face. So in relation to what we're talking about today, how does VR help any of this? So when I met the team at DPR here near Fort Worth, I took a few classes, and what I saw was a very traditional classroom. You know, one instructor, 30 people. A lot of them still had their safety gear on. You know, and then the trainer was brilliant. He was excellent, but the class just wasn't as engaged as I would have liked to have seen. There's, you know, a lot of people look at their phone. One or two people might be answering questions. As engaging as the trainer was, it's really hard to keep people on task. So, you know, I think VR solves that problem quite handily. Even if you had the exact same content, if you put somebody in a VR, you got their attention captured. Then you start adding, you know, engaging content, hands-on experience, classroom support, integration into the system. And then something that really excites me is, you know, you go beyond reality. You know, hands-on training can't be beat in a lot of ways, but there are a few ways that VR can beat it. And that's going what I call beyond reality, where you know, give people that X-ray vision to see into the inner workings. Or you take traditional slides and you put them up and you give them a little desktop with activities where they can like take parts of a boom lift and examine them and isolate them and engage with them. Encore, you've been working with me for quite a while on the VR solution. Do you have anything to add on some of the problems it solves?
Yeah, one of the things you just reminded me of was how simple it can be to sort of port your traditional training into VR. I didn't appreciate that originally. And when you started taking those PowerPoint slides and simply moving them into VR and making them accessible, literally accessible, you can reach out and grab the slide and look at it and throw it and play with it. And essentially you're truly interacting with the training material. So a great and it's simple, I think, first sort of step, allow you to sort of ease into the water there, you know, dip your toes in, but also really engage, you know, your audience, your intended learners, folks who are, as you mentioned, sometimes not as engaged because it's a slow kind of classroom training traditionally with a lot of PowerPoint slides before you really get your hands on to the equipment, which of course everybody wants to do.
Yeah, and thanks to our past as game developers, sometimes we can't help throwing in a little extra, what I call a little extra engagement. Like when we train them on PPE, we drop bricks on their heads, and you know, keep doing that until they put on a hard hat. Yeah. One of the things that we've done is the VR boom lift training, and we made it. When I say we made it next generation, we took in the traditional training content that we were just speaking to. We added desktop activities. We don't just throw you in a boom lift and step you through it. We do that too, but first we teach you how to do the VR. You know, you have to learn how to operate your controls. Then we go through a familiarization module about all the different kinds of mobile work platforms, and then we talk specifically about boom lift. We do safety. We give you a desktop boom lift and run you through all kinds of safety scenarios where you see the results, inspection, and then finally operation. So it's been a really fun experience creating that, and we're rolling it out practically today. I think I fixed the last known issue in QA, and it's been in Encore's hands off and on through the last few months, but you know, now we're ready to shoot forward with it. And real quick before our time runs out, and I'm sorry if we don't have time for questions, we'll hang around a little longer if they'll let us and answer some of the questions. But there's some stuff I really want you to think about and take away, you know, that goes beyond VR. And what I want to ask Encore is, what are some of the other, in commercial construction, what are some of the other things that you see making a big impact when it comes to immersive learning?
Well, I think you've sort of put some teasers out there. At least you got my head thinking about other things. But you know, what we were seeing is, and how we prioritized this to begin with was, you know, where are we seeing the sort of skills gaps? Where are we seeing continued Safety issues, apologies, it's that hour in our house. We're getting a little bit of the reality of my household.
Sounds like nap time got disturbed.
Yeah, might have been my fault. But I think where we're trying to focus is, where is the safety? Wallace, who I appreciate being on the call. I know Wallace throughout a crane operation as one area, and that's been covered by some folks out there. The ITIs of the world have done a great job with that kind of stuff. And ITI specifically, I should say. And then we've got opportunities on the electrical side, as you say, with things like lotto training, lockout, tagout, that is. So trying to prevent accidents that involve high voltage, potentially high voltage incidents. So we're trying to focus on, where are the opportunities from a safety perspective? Do we think we can simulate things, more effectively using, leveraging VR, that otherwise, you really would learn from a PowerPoint deck or a manual or a, hey, if this ever happens and such and such. Let's have somebody actually live it and try to go through that. And as you guys are familiar, of course, everybody out there, pilots have used this for generations now in terms of learning how to fly, and our astronauts have used it for missions out into inner and outer space. So just trying to apply some concepts that seem to have been proven in other industries to construction.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I want to ask you one great question before we start answering other questions. So what factors make a great relationship between VR training provider, myself, and the client, yourself? And you can speak to our relationship. I like to think it's pretty great, but what kind of difference does that make?
Frankly, I thought that the fact that it didn't seem like you had a whole lot of exposure to our world, meaning the world of commercial and heavy construction, prior to our engagement, was great. We got a point of view from somebody who, obviously a very, very experienced team, very intelligent team, asked a lot of really good questions that we hadn't asked ourselves. I think your curiosity was key early on. Your ability to sort of look at things from different angles and look at also the sort of long view, right? Let's start with something that kind of allows us or helps us, me in particular, prove a point, prove a concept internally, and then let's build from there. So I think we started with something that was practical. Certainly didn't feel pressured, into doing something a hell of a lot bigger, because we could have done that. We could have gone full bore into something really, I think, elaborate, and we chose something that had a high sort of rate of repetition in terms of the training, high perceived value from our operations folks and our safety personnel, and helping us sort of work through what that roadmap might look like. But being open-minded about it, I think, was the main thing. And the amount of time you spent at our job sites wanting to, in an effort to learn more about the problem, I think,
and just being able to establish that trust, by getting to know each other really well, and because it's, everybody here knows that's involved in XR, VR, AR. It's complicated, and things don't always turn out the way you expect. So if you have a lot of trust between the two of you, you know that you're doing the best job possible, and putting the best foot forward. So I think that's really important to be able to do that.
I'd ask one last thing, Mike, and that was, you very quickly and without a whole lot of hoopla introduced us to a lot of sort of the world of the possibility, or what's possible here, and open our minds up a bit, not a bit, a lot, as to different approaches we could take with this. So
yeah, thank you, Encore. I'm going to answer questions until they shut us down, and I'm just going to go backwards because I'm reading real quick. Localization is very important. We built it into our platform, our Drive platform, and what we've done, it's already set up to do Spanish, but it can do any language. So all the text is externalized. All our voiceover that goes with the slides is computer generated. So we just have to translate that and regenerate in the right language. The forms for inspection, we use an AI pipeline from Amazon to convert that into text that can be easily internationalized. So we're probably talking 2 weeks or so maybe quicker. So it's good to be thinking about that and be prepared, because certainly we're talking about at least a bilingual, if not more, in the construction industry, right, Encore? That's right. All right. We would like to be active in Germany, Peter. There's nothing to keep us from doing that. What other questions do we have here? Let's see.
I think we have.
So we don't have metrics yet, Dace, but we are aware that we've been working with some local universities. We've got some data experts. We're rolling out a plan right now with Encore to do, some A/B testing. Of course, the safety data itself is a little hard to track right away. Certainly, the assessment of knowledge, comparing against people that have operated a boom lift or gone through the boom lift training in VR and those that have not, is fairly quick results and immediate, and we can get our trainers to assess that. But the actual safety stuff is going to take time, and that one is, I'm open for ideas, because I know a lot of people have done some safety VR. That's just bottom line. To me, for as far as I know, that takes a lot of time and just paying attention to the data. And I almost think you need a lot more VR curriculum than what we have to make a significant impact. Do you have any thoughts on safety or tracking it, Encore?
I think that is sort of the first one that crossed the minds of our trainers, as we had 2 incidents last year that resulted in loss of life with such equipment, aerial work platforms on our job sites. Not necessarily our folks, but they're all our folks, because we have, we're general contractors, we're in charge of the job site. So we lost 2 people. But we have other leading indicators that come into play as we do audits all the time, and there's some behaviors there that certainly can be tracked in an A/B manner, as you described. The other part is sort of retention of the learning, which also can be tracked, but that's kind of potentially takes a little bit more time to draw some correlation. And the other may just be as simple as the experience. I look at it in a way as an NPS. If you're familiar with the Net Promoter Score, that's the way DPR likes to track solutions and their and the ability to, or the opportunities for improvement, within our own operations.
Very good. So are there any other questions? If you guys want to type them out, we'll hang out here for a minute. Encore, I will say that Janice, who's on here, she's been doing some testing, and she's never even been she's probably seen a boom lift, from a distance, and that's as close as she's been. But she's ready to jump on one and give it a whirl, because she's that confident right now. So I'd love to test her skills.
Hey.
All right, I think that's it. She does. She did a good job testing. Thank you, Encore. I really appreciate you joining me on this. I really love being able to expose my fellow VR creators to markets like this, to industries, because there's always something unique, and I think commercial construction definitely has some unique challenges and some unique things to solve, and it's huge, and there's a lot of impactful things we can do. So Anyway, thank you very much, Encore, and thank you, VRARA, for the opportunity here. And thank you, everybody, for attending.